Hello traders, this is my last video for the year 2025 as next week we are seeing 2026 coming up. So I'm wishing all of you a very happy new year in advance and a portfolio that builds powerful momentum all year around. Now checking the Nifty spot daily and the weekly time frame charts, what we can see is last week starting was very much enthusiastic and we had a very massive gap up. Then we had a couple of days of consolidation and then finally one day when we are seeing a sell-off. Now जहां गए थे वहीं से वापस आ गए. I mean we started the journey year of last week and we came back exactly around there. So that is the reason we can see an inverted hammer over here in the weekly time frame chart. Last week's candle was a hammer. This week is an inverted hammer. So we are basically a lot choppy, but structure, the overall trend is positive in the weekly time frame chart. The momentum is also positive in the weekly time frame chart, but prices are not moving anywhere. They are very choppy. Now this was the level which had to be surpassed for the first breakout. If you remember my video last week, I had clearly told that we need to surpass this level and this is the low. So we need to maintain one thing, that in case if we retrace a bit lower in Nifty, I'll just try to plot this fib for all of you. Even if we retrace, we should make sure that this is a gap up. In case if it closes, moves down, we should not go below this 25,722. We should not go below that. If you go below 25,722 or 25,690, then the entire structure could get disturbed. First thing is we have traded above this. It's a positive sign. We haven't been able to close above 26,200, which is again an important level. So now what we want from Nifty is the momentum and trend we already have in the weekly time frame chart. That is not a problem, major problem, but we need to see the price building strength consistently, and for that we'll need to surpass this entire band, which is from 26, I guess 26,200 to 26,323 or 325, somewhere around that. And we need to see sustained buying. Sustained buying का मतलब है कि something like this will go up. Yeah, there could be down days, there could be red days, which we can see here, but they should be taken off immediately by immediate bullishness. If we see some up down movement, इसमें पैसा नहीं बनेगा. So these are the important levels which we need to take off. I'll repeat, the levels are 26,200 and 26,325. Going ahead with Bank Nifty, what we can see is that the structure of Bank Nifty in comparison to Nifty is not that great. And the reason for that is PSU banking space and a little bit of private banking space. So I'll come to that point. But before we go there, let us see what type of candles have been made. See, last week we had a doji candle. This week we also have a candle which is sort of a smaller doji. But still I would, rather than giving it a name of doji, I would tell it as a spinning top. It looks like an inverted hammer, but trust me, this is not an inverted hammer because iska jo wick hai na, this particular wick, for a candle to become an inverted hammer, what we need is a very big wick on the upside, at least twice or three times the size. So this is a spinning top. So spinning top clearly shows that there is a lot of indecision in the market, yani ki market itself is confused what it wants to do. In terms of momentum in the weekly time frame chart, things are fine. Trend is fine. The structure of the trend is fine, but price is not moving anywhere. Over here also, if you see, price is not moving anywhere. In fact, what you can see is the entire trading range is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Prices are just bouncing up and down, and we are going nowhere, to be very frank. And one of the major reasons is also PSU banking space. If you remember, I had clearly mentioned about PSU banking space that few of the stocks in PSU banking space are top heavy in terms of volume, यानी कि थोड़ा सा distribution यहाँ पे हुआ था PSU banking space में, and that is the reason we can see last 2 to 3 days of a little bit of profit booking in PSU banks. In terms of trend in the weekly time frame chart, I think the trend is up, no problem, but the momentum is surely slipping. is this a sector to probably, if you are a derivatives trader, if is this is a sector to probably trade negative or go short or something? The answer is no. This is a positive sector, but it lacks momentum. So I think we should leave it aside and move ahead. Structurally, in terms of trend, it is positive, but since there is no momentum, generally when there is no momentum present, prices will keep going up and down, and things will be choppy. So we don't want to deal with that. Private banking space. Now, private banking space is something which we need to understand. The trend is up in the weekly time frame chart. The trend is up. Momentum is also up, no problem, but nothing is happening in the daily time frame charts. We need private banking space to surpass this level of 28,900, and it is not going to be easy. The leaders in the banking space, in the private banking space, are not able to do so. Even in the last week, when Monday we had a major gap up in Nifty, if you see what happened in Bank Nifty is nothing great. We don't even have a single big green candle. Rather than that, we have a small candle, and then after that we are slipping down. So something which need to understand. This low is important. If this low is taken off, then the structure will get deteriorated, because then we are making lower lows and lower highs basically, which will continue on the downside. That is what we need to understand. And even if the structure is fine, understand one thing, even if the structure is fine, we need the prices to move forward, which is not happening. So yes, the view remains bullish, but be slightly watchful. Oil and gas space. Oil and gas space, structurally, I would say, in terms of weekly time frame chart, the trend is fine, the momentum is fine, but in the daily time frame chart, something possibly went wrong and prices dipped on the downside. If you check oil and gas space, out of 6 or 7 important stocks, you will see just 2 or 3 participating positively on the upside, and that is one of the major reasons why this drop has actually happened. When you see few of the stocks participating down, few of the stocks participating up, generally this is what happens in the sector. The sector goes sideways, or even if little bit of buying happens, and suddenly you will see a sell-off. So still structurally it is positive, but nothing great, I should say. Autopack, again my view will remain same. It will not be changing. Trend is up, no problem, but the momentum is lacking in the weekly time frame chart, and that is the reason you can see this choppy environment, choppy up and down movement. And if you compare this particular moment to this one, which is high momentum, so until and unless this is not present, to be very frank, I'm not interested in trading. Okay, so again, Autopack is something which I will leave aside. There is, I think, hardly one stock which is the highest weighted in the auto space. If you open that stock, you will understand. I think I'm talking about Maruti. If you open that stock and check the way it is going up in comparison to other stocks, you will understand what I'm trying to say. Consumer durables, I think, yes, this particular candle stands out in the weekly time frame chart, but if we compare this candle to the entire picture, then you will understand that the state of trend is down. Displacement of the moving average is also negative. The momentum is also down. So overall, it's a weaker sector, and you will consistently see lower highs, lower lows building up. So this is not a positive sector, and as a trader, if someone is trying to go long, this is certainly not a sector to look at. Consumption pack, again, when you look at the weekly time frame chart, as a trader, as a technical analyst, you will say that yes, we have couple of candles which are extensively bullish because they have longer wicks on the downside and they are hammers. I would say yes, that's true. But what is happening is, in the daily time frame chart, despite these hammers are coming up, you see that the lower highs, lower lows formation is not stopping, and currently we are at a resistance. So in terms of displacement of moving averages in the weekly time frame chart, things are fine, but the momentum is missing. So overall, not a very positive sector for a trader who would like to go long in this particular market. So Again, this is a sector to avoid if someone is thinking to go long. Finance pack. Finance pack, so far, even today, the trend is up despite this negative candle pattern last week. The momentum is still up, but it's not able to surpass this high. It almost tested the high, this particular high of 12th December, which I clearly mentioned, which we need to surpass. It could not, and it's trying to come down again. Let's hope that this low is not taken off. If this low is taken off, then the entire structure of the finance pack will get disturbed. So it is a wait and watch, basically. It's still wait and watch, and we'll see what happens. Going ahead with the FMCG pack, I would say that we need to zoom out a little bit and check the FMCG pack. Forget the trend, forget the momentum. If you just look at plain price, it is in a multi-month consolidation zone. And whenever this index, the sectoral index, hits this particular level, you will see some sort of bounce back on the upside. And if we touch this higher level, you will see some sort of profit booking happening. And that is a way which has been happening since May to December. And it is a long time. So this is an important zone, basically. This is an important zone. Any consolidation which happens for multi-month, it's very, very important. So in FMCG, I would say that the momentum is slowly and steadily picking up. You can see over here, the momentum is picking up. Trend is trying to change, although it has not changed completely as the displacement is still negative. It's trying to change. And important resistance and support levels, if you see, you can see levels between 54, I'll just highlight it for you over here, 54,870 to possibly around 55,776. This entire band is an important zone in the short term. All right. Okay. IT pack. Now IT pack, this is first candle in, I think, since 27th of October 2025, in the last couple of months, where we have seen the first candle which is negative. Negative in terms of it is sort of an inverted hammer. And the reason for that is this particular high. This high, which was made on 16th of June and again on 30th of June. So this is a resistance surely in the medium term. The trend is still strong, extremely strong. The momentum is extremely strong. This is what I was actually trying to say. This is called, a type of move which hardcore swing momentum traders like, where you buy and something goes up with extreme high momentum. So this was intact since several weeks. In the last 2 to 3 days, what has happened is that sudden sort of profit booking is visible in the last 3 trading sessions. Now, is this a top? Well, frankly, we don't know. Because at times when momentum is extremely strong, it can happen that it can break the shackles of the previous resistance and it can go up very, very fast. So we should not underestimate the power of momentum here. We should wait for next few days and try and understand what the index wants to do. This is certainly not a level where we should be going aggressive, and I have been saying this in my return reports also, which I try to share it in the WhatsApp channel and in the groups. So this is where we need to be little bit more focused on trailing our stop losses as short-term traders. That is what I will have to say about the IT pack. But overall view remains positive as per the weekly time frame charts. Infra pack. Infra pack, again, as per the weekly time frame, no problem. Yes, you will see the RSI going sideways, but still the reading is positive in terms of trend and momentum. And over here we can see a sector which is trying to bounce back, and suddenly we have a pullback. Now, if this low is not taken off in the infra pack, and again, once again, if we start moving up ahead, then again you will see the structure of the infra pack improving. That is what we will come to know in the next week. Metals. Metals, you can see that the weekly time frame chart is positive, the monthly time frame chart is positive. Although what we can see in the daily time frame chart is that we are back near these highs. So now in short term, it's slightly overstretched. There are 2 to 3 stocks left which are still yet, they're still yet to, they need to go up. So try to focus on stocks which have probably gone through a short term or medium term correction and now they are starting to go higher, rather than catching up with stocks which have already gone higher and trying to buy momentum and breakouts. Don't do that. Try to pick stocks which have gone higher, given a sharp pullback, and now they're trying to start a new uptrend. All right. Pharma. Pharma, tough nut to crack as the weekly structure is intact. Trend is fine, momentum is fine, things are okay, but price is not going higher. सब कुछ ठीक है, the readings are fine, but जब तक price ऊपर नहीं जाएगा पैसे नहीं बनेंगे. So this is something, it's, when the entire market is choppy, few things are not in our hands as traders. Certainly not a sector to go short, or certainly not a sector to have negative trades. The view is positive, but don't go aggressive in this sector. Manage your risk if you're holding your long positions, and if market is choppy, you cannot do anything about it, to be very frank, because overall view in this sector is still positive. All right. PSE. Now in PSE, we can see suddenly there has been a very, very sharp pullback, extremely sharp pullback, and back to back last 3 weeks over here, a big, very big hammer, then again a very big hammer, and then a bullish belt hold. Now, is this enough to change the readings of the chart? The answer is no. Yes, certainly these 3 candles are very loud and they are shouting that the price wants to change gears and maybe it wants to go higher. But as a trader, would we give emphasis just to 2 to 3 candles which could actually change the entire structure? The answer is no. We need, as a pullback trader, as a trend momentum pullback trader, I would like the trend and momentum to change first and then possibly time my trade. So I would still say the sector is still trying to change its entire structure, but I would say that my view from negative, now I'm shifting it to neutral. Let's wait for next week and see what happens. That is it again. If you see the recent high, it's still at a lower high. Does this continue or does it fizzle out? If this fizzle out, then again the readings will change. So we need to understand, wait, have patience, and then come to a conclusion next week. Real estate pack. Real estate pack, I think I would say that in the last, not the last week, but last to last week and uske pehle, we had a couple of really good hammers. And probably I was expecting that maybe we will have a positive candle, didn't turn up. And again, we are consolidating. So overall view on the real estate pack also continues to be bearish despite these hammer candles. Because what happens is, just one hammer is not capable of changing everything. Understand that. We need to have few more things also. India defense. India defense, again, certainly I would say in the last 3 weeks, it has made its point that it's trying very, very hard to change its trend. We had 2 large hammers and then a bullish belt hold with a higher wick. So this higher wick is generally saying that ऊपर के level पे थोड़ा बहुत selling है. People who are stuck at these rates, possibly who would have bought, जब उनको bounce back मिलेगा, they will try to come out of their holding. So that is what is happening right now. Frankly, in terms of weekly time frame chart, no changing in reading. The structure is still weak and we need to wait at least next week to understand that this is just a sharp pullback and again it's going to turn down or this will turn on the upside. ये सिर्फ वक्त के साथ ही पता चलेगा. So let's have patience and wait out. Midcaps positive, trend positive, momentum positive. Last week's candle not so great. This dip is not very, very sharp, I should say. It's okay, but if we manage to surpass this previous high, then things will improve again. Okay. So my overall view is that the markets, this is certainly, I mean, this is not a market possibly to go short or something like that. Certainly the view is positive. But again, as a trader, you need to understand that which sectoral indices out of this entire list is going to be positive. And within that sector, which are the various stocks which will be positive. In case if we find out that metal sector is positive, it's not time to go and time out, go and time each and every stock in the metal pack and just go long. No, that's not the time. You'll have to be extremely stock specific. That is what you need to understand. So stay cautiously bullish, trade less, trade wisely. And again, a very, very advanced May Happy New Year to all of you. Take care, guys.